Walk with Archangel Revelations and Prophecies 444. I am Gat, your host. A viewer contacted me. I believe I did the natal charts maybe a year or two ago. And so they just wanted me to do the natal charts. And what we're going to do is start right with the first house. The first house is going to be the EP. That's the east point. And that's where the sun was going over the ecliptic when they were born. That AC is in the 12th house at 27 degrees. And that's the ascendant where the sun was going over the horizon when she was born. So what you're going to have as a Pisces, her first house is going to be the 12th house. And also the first house is ruled by Aries. So the 12th house is ruled by Pisces. And it deals with buildings. It deals with things that are hidden, your subconscious mind, things that are pushed under the proverbial rug, service to other people. A lot of the stuff that's in the 8th house is also in the 12th house. But the 12th house, you're supposed to reckon with it, get healing, so that you can move on. Now, when you study these natal charts, you can see that the person or people who put these charts together really love. Just like when you're watching a movie, they're always going to have like a cliffhanger or a twist or something like that. Because you can tell right away this person is going to be quite psychic. Because they're dealing with the sun, Pisces, the moon, the 8th house, which is ruled by Scorpio. And even in the 8th house, you have the 29 degrees, which is the anaretic degree. It's also the karmic degree. So when you're dealing with 8th house Scorpio energy, and remember, Mars used to rule Scorpio. Now Mars rules Aries. So the 8th house can be very watery. And again, I'll be sending her the report because you always get the full report with your natal chart reading. So she has to really become familiar with the 8th house because it's really going to be watery, emotional, power struggles. It could be codependency. Scorpio can be very psychic, but it's highly transforming, death and rebirth, highly sexual. A lot of occultic things there. Like it's so much in the 12th house. It's a very powerful sign, good at healing itself, good at healing others, but also good at perceiving behind the scenes. So no matter what a person says, a Scorpio can pretty much know what's going on. But Scorpios can also be very suspicious and doubting, and they'll do that until they trust you. Now you say, well, I'm not a Scorpio, but you're dealing with a moon sign in the 8th house. That's going to be the Scorpio's house. And then they're making sure they're connecting these houses, like I already said, so that these things it's still going to be there. So very watery, and again, that can lead to a lot of emotions, like I said, codependencies, taking things to extremes. Now, the first thing you want to know, so like I said, Pisces is going to be inspirational, but also the ruler of the 12th house. And then that's her sun sign. And then her ascendant is going to be, a rising sign is her ascendant. That's going to be Aquarius. And again, Aquarius is all about the community, enlightenment, technology. Pisces like to be free. And Aquarius rules the 11th house of friends, associates, groups. And again, in her 11th house, you have Capricorn. So then she's probably going to even be able to make some type of career with people, friends, association, and groups. And Capricorn is your career and reputation. So her 11th house is going to also be connected to her 10th house because Capricorn rules the 10th house and Pluto rules Capricorn. Now, the number 9 is the Hermit card, the Hermit Tarot card. That's Virgo energy. But the Hermit has its own light that it goes by. He keeps his lantern in front of his face. So the Hermit will come out in public, but it's not going to go by other people's enlightenment or belief system. It's going to go by its own experiences, its own light that it's learned. Now your sun is at 11 degrees, and because the sun rules Leo, that number 11 is probably the Rider-Waite Strength card, which is the divine energy, divine feminine with the divine masculine energy. But sometimes the Rider-Waite number 11 card is the Justice card, which is Libra energy. So usually when you look at your chart, look at the numerology, and look at what's going on, you can usually tell which one that degree is referencing. Now, your second house is money, possessions, and value system, how you value things. And that's ruled by Taurus. But again, you have Aries there, and then you have Mars there, and all at 4 degrees. And 4 degrees is Aries energy. So for some reason, your second house of finances, possessions, and your value system is going to be very intense. But then you got love there. And again, at 9 degrees. And at 17 means karmic or Saturn or karmic, karma. It can also mean the star card, which is Aquarius energy. The 12 is Neptune energy. It's the Hangman card. And then again, the 9, which is with Venus, again is a Virgo energy, which is the Hermit card. But then you got 20, which is the Judgment card, which is Pluto energy. So right up Mars and Aries is intensity. Might even get violent. But strangely, love is there because Venus also deals with finances. But also, love, fun, dating, fashion, going out and having fun, dancing. And the person might see they may aggressively pursue finances so that they're able to have that type of Venus fun and anything associated with Venus. First thing we're going to look at is Vesta in the second house. And just give me a moment to look at something real quick. Okay. We'll look at Vesta in the second house. And as I said, that those number fours is the Aries card, but that's still aggression. It's basically the house. The second house is basically saying that this person perceives money, finances, and their value system as their power, but also their means of love, attraction, and joy and light through Venus. And remember, whenever you're looking at a natal chart, it could either be that person or their twin. All right, I'm gonna put this on pause. All right. So pretty much, this is definitely gonna be an aggressive attitude towards finances, possessions, and their value system. And basically, it could be her energy because she requested this, but it could also be the twin flame energy of the masculine. Because if you notice, they're both Venus and Mars are both there. But this is somebody who's really putting it's like their throne, because that's what Aries does. He sits on a throne, and it's like their throne is about this money, and that's how it is. So we know when you see Mars in Aries, this is going to be some type of aggression stuff, and could really go out there depending on what's going on. It could actually get even violent or worse. So we already know that if you see Mars in Aries. But now the main concern here is going to be Vesta conjunct Venus. Now, the person who popped up when I said it is a female who's on YouTube. Her name is Dr. Bairavee. And when you look her up, you can also see her last name because it would be very difficult for me to say that last name. She has a website online as well, but she also has a YouTube channel. So she says Venus represents the energies of abundance and certain aspects of the sacred feminine conjunct Vesta. So you gotta remember Vesta, she could be a priestess, she could be spiritual, but she could also be like a very highly sexual. So in the second house they may mix all that together. A person might actually get a sexual, like a lot of people have a sexual connection to power, finances. Like a lot of rich people will be throwing their money around having sex at the same time. So you kind of get this coming off that second house. So this is recognition of an opportunity for material advancements offered to the feminine. But because Mars is there and Aries and all that, that's what makes it greatly intense. And then when you got the 4-degree energies, that's Aries. So it's kind of funny how she says Venus represents femininity, desires, and then she says judgment. Because then when we look at your chart, exactly, Venus is 9 degrees, but that 20 minutes is the judgment card. But your second house is somewhat karmic as well. So they say Vesta now can usually be a personal presence, but this is going to be more societal because you're dealing with finances, acquisition of finances, and what you do with them. So this may have a lot to do with authority figures or opportunities to work with these figures to generate financial income. So now they see at when they were talking about Venus with Vesta, Years ago, they mentioned an asteroid named Hidalgo. Now, Hidalgo was a real person, a revolutionary priest who led a crusade against the Spanish colonial government. Now, why is this important? Because, see, she doesn't know. This Dr. Baravi, she doesn't know about your Mars and Aries in your second house. She only knows about the Vesta conjunct Venus. So I'm trying to say, even she is still connecting it to a Mars environment. Like this is a feud for finances. Could almost be linked to some type of takeover. Now this may have already happened in this person's life, or will at some point happen in this person's life. But this is a person who is not going to sit well. They're going to be going for them finances, and they're equating some type of spiritual strength from them finances, some type of sexual strength from it as well, and they're willing to war to get it and maintain it. And as I said, it could be this person, it could be their twin, but this is definitely energy in that second house. And he tried to fight, Hidalgo tried to fight against the Spanish colonial government. He did die, but his death led to Mexican independence. And she's good. It was nice she gave the reference. The reference is at zanestein.com and look for Hidalgo. Hidalgo. And again, if you put that on like a Yahoo search engine, you can find that. So this person points to a spiritual person in a position of power whose actions are able to spark and give life to collective actions. See, that's your spiritual Aquarius. That's your Pisces Aquarius energy as well. See, because there are some people that have fought in history for what you might say is a noble cause. Everybody that has fought wars wasn't selfish and just trying to rob other people or whatever they did. There were some people that really tried to fight and get money and overthrow whatever to help out spiritual or stuff like that. And you're not sure what the second house is about, but because of what she said, I know for a fact Vesta is a warrior and Vesta can be spiritual. So she said that with Vesta conjunct Venus, there is an element of sacrifice here, but it's highly unlikely to manifest as a loss of life. She said it's an excellent opportunity to bring the feminine back in balance with the masculine. And again, she's saying all the stuff she doesn't know that Mars is there in that same house with Venus. Now you go to your third house, Taurus is right there. But your third house is ruled by Gemini. Very creative house. Could be a mental house as well. This is all communications and publishing. Could be younger children, short travel, the brotherhood around you. And it has Chiron direct, which is healing. And remember, Taurus is going to be related to your second house, the finances. So this might be money in some type of publishing, or even anything related to younger education of children, or any form of creativity. All right, we're going to look at that number 23. Okay, now 23, the number has different meanings. It could be a creativity, adventure, freedom, sensuality, loving to learn. But see, what you have to remember is 23 also becomes number 5. And when it becomes number 5, it could be like Leo energy, creativity, like they said. It's also Taurus energy, because if you notice, it's in the zodiac sign of Taurus. And that's your sensuality, but also everything with Taurus. The second house, like I already mentioned. And also, it's the Hierophant, or the Pope card, tarot card. So again, it's a spiritual energy. And it could have a connection to marriage, depending on, like I said, depending on what your other placements are saying. Intellect, creativity, and also can mean chaos. So that's why I said it's one of those numbers that you really have to be keeping an eye on it, because it could mean a whole lot of stuff. Witty, and for the most part, whatever's going on in that second house is going to affect the third house. But the third house really is about like publishing. It could be creativity, and it could also be the brotherhood around you. And then again, in the fourth house, not really a lot there. And then I would say, okay, well, since Cancer rules the fourth house, what are they saying about Cancer? But Cancer's right there. It's not a whole lot there. Now we know Gemini does deal with like younger ones and younger education. But what I already said about the third house where Taurus is, you would almost say, because Gemini rules the third house. So that's almost in the fourth house. And then her true north node, which is what she should be working on in this house, in this life, is Cancer. And now that's the fourth house. Cancer rules the fourth house where her Gemini is. Now this is teenage to adult education, land or property or real estate, ancestors, family, the heart, vehicle and travel, and the woman whoever raised her when she was young in a mother position. That's called Imum Coeli. And that person will be your subconscious mind, her subconscious mind, her entire life. But they put this in the fifth house, which is going to be fun. Could be like children, childlike ways. And then they put it at 1 degree, which is the magician. Again, Gemini energy. So for some reason, they really wanted your fourth house that had that Gemini energy. And that's interesting. And that could have something to do with education too. But Gemini really deals with short travel. It's not really going to go long term. And then good fortune again is at 16 degrees. So when you keep seeing that Mars show up. And then the 16 degrees is the Tower card where stuff gets broken down to be built back up. Sixth house, ruled by Virgo. This is the home, health, service, healing, small children, small animals, co-workers, subordinates. And with Leo there, once again, see, your chart gives a lot of children tones. Like your fourth house, which is family, got Gemini, but that's going to be younger children. Your fifth house, they put the family in the fifth house, but again, that's teenage to adult education. Your sixth house is small children, small animals, but then Leo's there, and Leo can also be like small children. It's like fun, but small children. Seventh house is ruled by Libra, all about partnership, seriousness, law, justice, karma, business contracts, legal matters, open enemies. But then they put Virgo in the seventh house, like I already explained what that is. That again is about the home. But then they give you your vertex. That cross means you would have a serious, you would have like a serious situation, a fated event, destiny, either twin flame or twin soul with a Virgo. And when you look over here, his eighth house is a Virgo. And this is coming off your seventh house ruled by Libra, and then Libra is in your eighth house, which is also your moon sign. So now, again, when you're looking at your second house with all that aggression there, when you look at your eighth house, moon sign Libra, at 22 degrees, that is a master number. That is also the number of God's people. That is also the number 1111, the twin flames. It's right there. Even with that 29, when I read that 29 and see 17 degrees can be Saturn, it can be karmic. But 17 degrees is also the star card or Aquarius energy, which takes you back to Aquarius, and that's his ascendant. So Libra in the 8th house, it could deal with relationship or business contract, because the 8th house is business too, but it's so much stuff in the 8th house. That's why I said you have it on the list and get familiar with it. Now, I used to read all that, but when you read all that, not all of that is going to apply to one person. So when I do the reading, it gives you enough to know, but then it gets specific. You got to go and see what it is. But one thing you got to be concerned with is Libra in the 8th house. See, Libra deals with like karma or justice, and also Libra can be the legal system. So what I'm trying to say, when you look at your 2nd house, that like ruthless, because that's basically ruthless aggression. That's Mars and Aries, and then you got those number 4s, which is Aries energy. So that is somebody who would do whatever. Maybe not literally whatever, but do whatever. And then you still got Venus, which is also about finance, and then you got it at 20 degrees, which is really Pluto. And then you got Pluto right there in the next house for karmic degree. And then you got 17, which is really Saturnian energy, which is the justice system. Like that is karma, that's legal stuff. So you see it both in your 2nd house and your 8th house. And for the most part, it seems to be connected to either money or some type of agreement or contract was made and maybe not followed through. And Pluto retrograde means I'm going to severely take something. So that's the boom that takes something. And what is he going to take? Something connected to the moon, or something connected to anything in Libra, anything in the moon, or anything in the 8th house, even Scorpio energy. And then when you look at your Scorpio, right away you see Saturn again, which is karmic, delay, and it's at 4 degrees again. So when your particular chart, you're 4 in Mars, you're 4 in Vesta, you're 4 in Pluto, 4 ain't your friend in those places. It's almost like it's going to make you pay. Like the ruthless aggression, or I'm going to get mine, or whatever it was, or whatever it is, there's going to be a price to pay for it. Now, so we're going to look at your 29 degrees. So let's pull that up. So you got 29 degrees. We'll do in Libra. And also when you're dealing with the moon, again, watery. So you got to be like, whenever you have the moon or Cancer in the 8th house or in Scorpio, you got to be careful, because that's just, it's so much water, it's easy to become under some type of influence or worse of spirits. So you have to be very careful of that. And the moon in 8th house does deal with reincarnation as well. Moon in Scorpio, or moon in conjunct Pluto, or moon in Pluto, or moon in the 8th house. This can all deal with reincarnation, past lives, or twin souls, or whatever. So 29 degrees Libra. This signifies the end of a cycle where a pressing legal issue is involved. It requires people to tie up loose ends. Unfortunately, it strongly signifies divorce. Now, the 29 degrees is Pluto, and Pluto rules Scorpio. So we're going to read Scorpio as well. 29 degrees Scorpio. This suggests the end of a life cycle. Natives feel the financial responsibility left to them from someone who has passed is too much to deal with. Now, the 8th house could be called the house of death, but it's like death and rebirth because it's wills, it's all that stuff. That's why you got to really get familiar with it. But they're saying that somebody might leave you a burden that is really too much for you to deal with. But that's how you can see yourself getting in trouble with the law. Or it doesn't have to be that. That's not the only way it might happen, but it might be even by ruthless aggression. And I keep saying ruthless, but that's somebody that's going to, sometimes you want something so bad that even though you got warning signs not to pursue, you pursue it anyway because you're hoping you can pursue it and get away with it, or pursue it with no backlash. But in a case like this, it definitely will be backlash. So 29 degrees says Scorpio, but remember Pluto rules Scorpio. This could indicate the end of a probate. This could also denote excessive tax burden or inheritance issues. Unfortunately, a death may be experienced at this degree placement. And then you want to go 29 degrees Pluto. See, Pluto in 29 degrees is secrets, within, death, rebirth, transformation, power. Pluto represents all things hidden. Therefore, if Pluto is found in the anaretic degree, it signifies too much or too little buried beneath the surface. But it's not just that, it's getting exposed. That's what I'm trying to tell you. And that's why Libra is there, because it becomes a Libra issue. If it hasn't already happened in your life, it's a good chance it will. 29 degrees, that's your anaretic degree in Pluto. And remember, when you see in 17 and Saturn and all that stuff, you're dealing with karma. And even Libra is karma. And even the 8th house is karma. Just like the 12th house is karma. So that's why I said, dudes like me out here all the time for a reason. You know what I'm saying? Like, because people gloss over this, because what humans do, as long as they don't see it, they figure I won't think about it. But that's like getting struck with a life-threatening disease and going, well, I just ain't going to think about it. And then it finally takes you out. And then, like, when you're dealing with, like, afterlife, and remember what this house symbolizes. Pluto represents the god of Hades, which is hell. So you see all the stuff on the chart, but most people are just, is that my twin? They don't give a darn about what the chart's telling them. But on that, and this is all, it's number 20, and Pluto is the judgment card and all that. So when that shit hits, when it really hits, and now you are dealing with eternal damnation in hell, it ain't no getting out of that. So that's why I say don't let this country deceive you. That's why I keep trying to tell y'all. That's why they call it a democracy. You're being lied to. And so when you do your chart, they're trying to tell you. Even when you got like tarot cards and stuff, if you look at a lot of those pictures, they're trying to tell you. But it's just that if you see it as, oh, it can't happen to me, I'm a good person. Or you think it's some type of, because the card looks like a cartoon or something, you think it ain't real. And you're not getting the message, like the devil card. Why it got to be the devil card? Why can't it be the angel card? All this stuff. The Behemoth, Baphomet, and all that. So these people are telling you. It's not like they're lying about it. And in the movies, they're showing you all this stuff, but they just give it to you like entertainment, so you think it's a big-ass joke. Then if you read the Bible, Book of Revelation, it's all about death and Hades, which is hell, and blah, blah, blah. So all these people are telling you this shit is real. So that's why when you see this stuff, it makes you think twice, if you really believe it. Otherwise, like I said, what happens is, people say, oh, I'm going to get that money. But then you set yourself up for what's about to happen to you in your natal chart. And then the good news is, you can repent before it get too heavy. If you real, but you ain't going to repent if you really don't believe it. And then if you don't repent, whatever you got coming to you with all these 17s and judgment and all that is going to come. But these houses, like, you don't want to fuck around with the 8th house and houses like that. And these are powerful planets. That's why it's good to either deal with experts such as myself, not just somebody going to tell you some bubblegum shit, take your money, and they don't care what happened to you. But deal with the experts because they're going to give you the history of all this stuff to take it seriously. Not trying to scare nobody, but I'm trying to wake some people up. Because I'm telling you, it's going to be a whole lot of people when they get there and they know they ain't getting out. And that's that's eternity. They don't even go by 24 hours. That's eternity of torture. No let up and rape, you name it, they're going to do anything to you. Cut up your body, put it back together, cut it up again. It's not a joke. And it's tons of videos of people that have had that experience on YouTube. So it's not something you want to close your eyes to and go, oh, I'm a good person, or oh, I got Jesus. No. You better make sure you understand what's going on and how to deal with it. So, again, 29 degrees, and Pluto suggests too many secrets, or maybe not knowing enough about a situation. And that's why I tried to school you about what you may not know about. Those secrets can be determined by looking at the sign and house in which Pluto is located. And we already did that. 8th house, we already know what's in the 8th house. And a lot of that stuff is spooky and mystical. And the sign is Libra, but we already know Libra has to do also with agreements, business contracts, the law, karma. It could be relationships. So these are all areas that need to be looked at to make sure we are repenting and healing. So then the universe can't hold that over us. So Pluto is the planet of major transformation, death, and rebirth. Pluto is going to break down the old and make room for the new. But that's why you have a Pluto retrograde, because it's really going to literally attack and take out anything that would stop you from moving forward. Pluto represents power and control, authority figures, and leadership. Power, the underworld, hell, and Hades. So again, this stuff is on your chart. But for some strange reason, these people out here on YouTube think it's a big joke. They think they can play games. They think they can go wherever they want to. And they always pick some little soft person that's going to tell them some stupid stuff to make them feel a certain way. And then it's like a crack addict. I don't care if crack is making me go crazy. I still need it. I don't care if crack is going to make me break the law and eventually get caught by the law and be in jail. I don't care if once I get in jail, all kind of things are going to happen to me. Because jail is a form of hell. But they are so addicted that they could care less until they get there. Or until they got to come off that high and ain't nobody going to help them. They just going to lock you somewhere. How you come down is your problem. And even that could make somebody go crazy. So that's the 8th house. Now go on to your 12th house. The house of endings. So you see 22 again with Mercury. Because like I said, Mercury is a communicator, but a very wise and smart person. But it's still Aquarian. And Lilith retrograde is always dealing with repression. And that's in the 12th house, which is could be a depression, a depressed house, repression, hiding things, like a lot of secrets. So again, you got to start to ask yourself, is it worth all these secrets? And what am I really trying to hide? And what is this going to do for me? And then Juno says you may find yourself in a serious relationship with somebody with Aquarius energy. And as you see, his ascendant is Aquarius. Okay, now your Juno is at 25 degrees. Again, wisdom, analytical skills, sensitivity, sensuality, introspective, spiritual, perceptive, wise beyond their years. And it represents the law. So, like, if you were to see Vesta in your 12th house, that's somebody who's probably going to spend some time in jail or some form of isolation. And if you see 25 in your house, it may have the same meaning, but it's right with your Juno. And we'll look at the number 41 very quickly to see if it helps with any insight. Not essentially. See, now if you look at his East Point, 25. And let's see what his 49 might imply. Similar to 41. So that's the 12th house. Then when you go to the 11th house, again now, Palace. The 11th house is going to be dealing with the Aquarius energy, friends, association, and groups. And Palace, the asteroid Palace, helps the person to be able to think and see things to help this work together. Like Palace tries to help it. Like Palace is like the person who walks around at a party or a store or an event, and they're making sure everything is coherent, so that there's no reason for, like if you're running something on a chain, like when you're running a bike and you got that chain, you pedaling and that chain is going. Well, Palace is like the person whose job is to check that bike to make sure them chain links don't break. And that's what I mean. You're examining, you're seeing patterns, and you're helping to keep things together. And some people see Palace as the more mature side of a twin flame relationship. But this is all about taking 11th house and almost turning it into the 10th house with Capricorn. But remember that Saturn rules Capricorn. So therefore, I believe that's the 9th house and the 11th house are still working off of a Scorpio type energy. And it's not just Scorpio energy, because Scorpio is in the 9th house, which is ruled by Sagittarius. And then so when you look at your chart, especially your 9th house, 10th house, and 11th house are pretty much saying the same thing. Because you're still dealing with Scorpio, which you're really still dealing with the underworld. You're dealing with the 8th house. But you got a lot of karmic stuff there. So now Saturn is retrograde, but when Saturn is retrograde, it's usually some form of abuse, or you don't get along with your employers, or any authority you don't get along with, or Saturn could be a no-nonsense approach, or like I said, Saturn could really mean abuse. And it's karmic as well, because it's Saturn. It could be time delays, and then once again you're at number 4, which is Aries energy, aggression. But it's 4 and 9. But then when you go to the very next one, you see 9 again, and you see 9 again. So again, this is a person who has their own way. The C9 is that Virgo energy, and it's gonna do it their own way. But both these charts got Virgo. So now you're gonna ask yourself, well, are both of them like that? Because see, that's how you get yourself in trouble. Like when you see like a man and a woman, and they become like a televangelist, but they're too much alike. And so instead of the other one saying, hey, listen, we better slow down before people catch on, they were like, nah, these people, we've been giving these people the shaft for years. And they become greedy. That's why you see the number 28. And remember, 28, your 28 is in Neptune. That means two things, Neptune and Sagittarius means you got like real psychic abilities. Like you're not just tapped into planet Earth, you're tapped into stuff all over the universe. But 28 means that a person is not balanced. And maybe they're getting a little too greedy. In other words, business is getting a little too greedy because they begin to take risks because they think they're untouchable. And a lot of times when you're dealing with people that are dealing with that spiritual side, they think, well, I've done it this long. Because you remember, Neptune rules Pisces. Neptune is a deceiver. So that's why I say Neptune at 28 degrees is not a good thing. Because it's too much. It's not balanced. And then when you look in your 8th house, you got Libra there. Libra is supposed to be balanced, but it's anoretic. Which is still implying something ain't right here. This is not balanced. This is not ideal balance. And now the 9th house ruled by Sagittarius is higher courts. Like when Jim Baker was found guilty, they didn't put him in a regular state prison. They put him in a federal prison. And you gotta remember, Jim Baker was the head of probably the biggest Christian televangelist organization at that time. I mean, you could easily argue that Jim Baker was grossing in way more money than Billy Graham, or the husband and wife of TBN that are now deceased, Paul and Jan Crouch. So Jim Baker was making so much money. Now you best believe if he had been like more corrupt. Like if he had been like as smart as a mob boss, he probably could have paid his way out of prison. I mean, he probably would have never went in. He would have paid somebody else, but he didn't really know all that stuff. He knew how to rob the people in the name of Jesus, but then he finally got caught. And so when the government finally stepped in, see, that's your Saturn or Saturn universe or Saturn retrograde or even Pluto, because Pluto will go pow. Pluto is like when that chain I told you about on that bike. Pluto will blow that chain off, and that bike ain't going nowhere. Or Pluto will blow that front tire off, and you'll go flying off that bike. Because Saturn and Pluto are going to teach a lesson. So when you see Libra, Saturn, and Pluto, that's a lesson. And when you see all those 9s, again, that's that Virgo energy, but it's implying that these people, like I said, like a Paul or Jan Crouch or Jim Baker or whoever, it's like a two people that they, instead of one of them saying, okay, we better slow down, hey, we better stop, we better watch what we're doing with all this money, they could be tracking us, they be thinking like, nah, ain't nobody gonna stop us, nah, nobody's gonna track us, because they're thinking with greed. And when you see all those 4s, and then you see like the 2nd house, that's an aggressive for finances. So Sagittarius, like I said, represents higher law, like Jim Baker, like federal prison or a higher prison. And then you see it again. See how your medium coeli is 12 degrees? That's Neptune energy, but that is called the Hangman card. That's when they put your ass somewhere and you ain't getting out. And even 9 degrees still represents, they call it the Hermit. But the only difference is he comes out, but he goes by his own light. But he's still like the Hermit. He's still isolated because he ain't really learning from nothing. He's going by his own light. So they call him the Hermit. But the number 12 degree, that's the Stranger card. Or yeah, the Hangman card. And he really ain't coming out. That's like somebody with incarceration. So that where you see your Neptune and where you see that 12 degrees medium coeli, it's taking you right back to your 12th house. And that house can be about isolation. But you say, well, why is Aquarius there? Because those are the people. See, this is a karmic house. And those are the people that, according to this chart right here, those are the people that are being ripped off. Now, again, when somebody says, well, how did you come to these conclusions? You might not be listening because I explained all that. And sometimes we just go into denial. But like I said, I recently did a chart for a guy, and he always denied it. over and over again. So when he asked me to do his chart again this time, I said, you know what? I'm not even going to go natal. And this chart is on my channel. I said, I'm not even going to examine the natal chart. I'm going to go through numerology. And I went through his numerology of his birthday and all that. And it still came up and said the same thing. And that's when I finally had to tell that dude, you have to be lying to me. And he finally came clean. So remember, I'm nobody. I'm a little guy in New Jersey. This is bigger. I'm trying to wake people up. So if it is true, they can get what they need to get, repentance or whatever, so they don't have to see a real hell. Because this chart on the left side is highly karmic. Meaning what you put out, you're going to get back. So past life was all about, your present life has got to be about family and having fun with family. Your past life straight across, which is your 11th house, was maybe a little too serious. Or maybe using people for business. Which may not be a bad thing, but the question is, how did you use them? Did you exploit them? But now, getting to your 10th house, I believe that is, Sagittarius. Now, this could be long distance stuff. It could be higher education. And remember, your 10th house is also karmic as well. So Sagittarius could actually be that higher court that says guilty, like they did Jamaica. That Sagittarius could be in-laws. That could be in-laws. Religion. Now, Jupiter and Sagittarius work well together. Wherever you see Jupiter and Sagittarius, you know you're going to be making money. But the unique thing is, Uranus can mean anything coming out of anywhere. And that means 1 minute they're balling, next minute they're being investigated. So let's do that. Uranus conjunct Jupiter and see what they say. Now let me read this. Now this is Astrology King. Now his name is Jamie King, and he's pretty good. He's a pretty good astrologer, but the truth of the matter is, Jamie is also an astronomer, and that's why it's kind of unique to see him. I'm sure there are a lot of astronomers, but I haven't seen too many on YouTube personally. But Jamie's one of those. So listen to this. This is astrologyking.com. Jupiter conjunct Uranus. Jupiter conjunct Uranus gives a great need to be free, and you hate to be restricted in any way. So look at what we're looking at. Now I want everybody to listen. Everybody listen, because this is very, very important. We already discerned that this is a Pisces, Aquarius type person. Again, that's Jim Baker. Religious, spiritual, talking about Jesus. And you know, when I say they don't necessarily have to be talking about Jesus, it could be any religious whatever. Any religious theology or any religious belief. But they're giving it to the Aquarius or the community. And that's what Jim Baker did. Because he had the PTL. Okay? And they were big. They were freaking huge. And Jim Baker's still on. He's out of jail now. You'll see him on YouTube. All right, now we're trying to do this. I'm just looking at some of these people. I'll be right with you. So there is something on here about the Jim Baker Show and the PTL, JimBakerShow.com. I don't have time to read it to see. I mean, if he's still calling the PTL, I give him a lot. If he's got that kind of balls, because he went to jail because of that PTL stuff. But they were huge, like unbelievably. Yeah, they're still calling it PTL Network. I was trying to find out what the PTL stands for. So he's still using it. So that just shows you that. But that's what I'm trying to tell y'all. That's the type of balls this guy's got. Because he went to jail. Fraud, PTL fraud. And he's still using the name. And that's why I said sometimes when you watch these, I'm not going to say their names, but when you watch these televangelists, they're so fucking arrogant. Like they don't care, but that's because they really believe, no matter how corrupt they are, they really believe God is with them. And they believe they're going to get through it. And a lot of them do, as crazy as that sounds. But sometimes, believe me, that positive thinking just helps. Praise the Lord. And that's funny because remember, that's what Paul and Jan Kraus called their TV show. So the PTL Club in Wikipedia says it stands for Praise the Lord, or people that love. Or keep giving us your money, you stupid, you stupid people. People that aren't that smart. All right. Now let's get back to this Jupiter conjunct Uranus. They don't want to be restricted. They want to be free. And remember, when you're dealing with Sagittarius and Jupiter, they both deal with belief systems. Your strong need for new and original things to do can make it hard for you to stick to routines and structured programs. You may have strong anti-establishment beliefs and be interested in social reform or politics. So they're saying Jupiter conjunct Uranus is saying it doesn't matter, what you believe or what you feel, but as long as they're benefiting from it. And that's why they don't want to restrict it, because if they restrict it, they're restricting their income. So they want it to be, like I said, his belief system was huge. And a lot of people do that. A lot of these belief systems now, they don't care what you believe. As long as you come in and support it financially, they could care less what you believe. So it says Jupiter conjunct Uranus brings surprises and sudden opportunities. But they're saying things could happen suddenly that affects your freedom and your responsibilities. And they're saying with Uranus, everything is erratic. In other words, he said, a sudden financial windfall, promotion can happen. But remember that word windfall, you want to really know what that word means. And the reason why I'm trying to make this perfectly clear, because it's just human nature to hit a positive of the word windfall. And that's what I'm trying to do. They say windfall, an unexpected gain or piece of good fortune. So you say, yeah, exactly. That's what I want. A windfall. But windfall also means something blown down by the wind, such as fruit. So when I hear the word windfall, I don't just hear the good side of it. Windfall could mean like, wow. But then it can also do the other way too. Like, oh, shoot. Because you're like, whenever you see people get in legal trouble, they have a lot of money, but once they get in legal trouble, they got to fight the powers that be and all that stuff and get all that. They don't have no money. And that's why we're trying to tell people, when you really understand business, like the best business concept is a bird in the hand is worth two in the bush. Because I've seen a lot of people lose it, get locked up because of greed. So they're saying overseas air travel, because remember, this is Sagittarius is long distance, could be overseas. But remember, when you are dealing with Aquarius, you are dealing with air. And also when you're dealing with Pisces, you're dealing with water or the sea. So because it's Jupiter, it's just human nature to go, oh, this is great. But it's not. Uranus shocks the hell out of you. You know what I'm saying? You know, I mean, there'll be good times. I'm not saying there won't be good times, but that's how you get in trouble. Because that's what I'm trying to say when a person has a weird-ass belief. Like, cause you see these people on YouTube. They say, wake up talking about money, go to bed talking about money. Like that dude, Mike Murdoch. That's all that dude talks about, money. Money, money, money. Oh, that's all, money Mike. That's all that man does. And because that's all you do, you will generate it. But there's also backlash to that. And what you have to understand is what Messiah said. Because a lot of these people are using Jesus Christ. But Jesus Christ said, yeah, if you are that type of person now, that's all you have. You're not going to have no future with God. Not that it's wrong making money, but it's how you made it. And when that's all you do, you're not talking about Bible teachings. You ain't talking about jack. You're just using the name of Jesus to make all this money. So people get punched drunk and they don't listen. So that's why I say God is good. So God will always have somebody here to tell you the truth, whether you want to hear it or not. But this is how it happens. When you find yourself in that eternal damnation of hell, you're not going to be able to say nobody didn't tell me. So yes, we did. You didn't listen. We constantly told you. And that's the hypocrisy. Because people say, oh, tell me about love. So they go to the same source that tells you about love and all that. Is the same source that tells you about judgment and karma, but you pick and choose what you want to hear or believe. So that invalidates anything on you that could redeem you until you repent. So again, remember, this is going on in your 10th house. The 10th house is ruled by who? Capricorn and Saturn. So that does deal with karma of Saturn. So you just have to be careful. Because again, it's just human nature where a person says, well, if I'm being blessed, God must be happy with me. But that's not necessarily true. And when they get to like all this secret, all this Mercury, not Mercury, all the Scorpio secrets and 12th house secrets and all that secrets, if you got to have all these secrets to maintain that money, you got to ask yourself why. So Saturn retrograde in the 9th house, again, this is still Sagittarius energy. It can mean any form of judgment. It could mean Scorpio energy. These people are becoming abusive, however that's done. And how is it done? I don't know, but as soon as I see Mars and Aries in that 2nd house, like I said, it's the people that don't do anything to keep their cash. So we know Scorpio can be toxic. We're seeing how they're talking about Sagittarius energy that can be deceived, and also Sagittarius energy that could be subject to Uranus, which means you might get a lot of money, but then you might lose a lot of money. Because to me, that's really what a windfall is. But I could be wrong. But I showed you 2 definitions. Number 1 said, oh, whole lot of money that comes out of nowhere. But then definition number 2 says something that the wind blows down to the ground. So now, we're going to kind of look at this one, because when I go into the 2nd house, we're just going to do it and conclude this natal chart. So the 1st house, Juno in Aquarius, his ascendant is Aquarius. Her ascendant is Aquarius, his ascendant is Aquarius. Her sun sign is Pisces. His true north node is Pisces. Venus in Aquarius, or some type of Venus connection to Taurus, or Mars or Aries. True north node in Cancer. Now he has an interesting moon sign, because his moon sign almost looks like it's in Cancer, but it's not. It's in Gemini. But again, that's if you happen to have the... That's probably why she asked me that, because she was asking me to check the time. Because sometimes if you knew the time, then it might really be in Cancer. It's one of those things. But then again, it may not. But we still got enough anyway. Vertex and Virgo. Vertex and Virgo, both of them. Moon sign Libra, but in what house? In the 8th house. and Pluto in Libra. And then you see it again with his Libra. Pluto was almost right there. And see, even if you go sun sign in Libra, but it's in the 8th house, ruled by Scorpio, and then that's moon sign in Libra, 8th house, ruled by Scorpio, then she's got sun sign in Scorpio. So it's interesting. But personally, I would still want to see more. Because it should tell a more conducive story. It does tell a story, but I would like to see like a more of a story. But it shows a lot to say twin flame, but it could be a little bit more coherent. And there could be many reasons for that. All right. So what I'm gonna do, we got a pretty good understanding. So now I'm just gonna go into his chart. So right away, you still see that 12 degrees. See, what I'm saying is sometimes you'll have two people together, and because there's so much alike as far as how they view certain things, like one won't tell the other one, okay, maybe we're getting a little too greedy. Because you see, his starts off with 12 degrees, ascendant Aquarius. So again, this is going to be deception. Like, these are people, like I said, and I did a video. It's kind of funny to me, I'm going to be honest with you. Because this guy was kind of rushing me. And, like, I don't know what people want me to do. I got to tell you what's on your chart. And you are going to, with anything you do, you get better. If you're practicing your craft or whatever it is, you get better. That's how it's supposed to happen. So I guess he didn't like it, but see, he lives in a country or a continent, I should say. But I don't want to group the whole continent together. But they can be very stuck on what they believe, even if it's not necessarily true. And we kind of well, it's always been that way. But people don't want you to comment on certain things. But you might believe something that's sending you to hell. So you should be glad there's people that are brave enough to go against it. And you better be glad that there's people that are noble enough to love you more than any money you can give them. See, that's how the people don't see it that way. That's how you know when you're dumbed down. When somebody could just sit here and lie and make all this money, and they don't do it. And they'd rather tell you, listen, this is how it really is. You better wise up. So I guess the guy, I don't know what he was looking for. But what I got from his chart was that he was blocking love because of his religious beliefs. And I know in that part of the world, like continent, they're like that because they can be very extreme on their religious beliefs. But if your religious belief ain't really based on truth, see, what y'all have to understand is, prophetically speaking, there's going to come a time when all of them belief systems, if they're not really what they're supposed to be, they're all going to burn up and be out of here. And that's why, like I said, the Bible's one way to start, but however you start, but you have to get to you have to get to a place where you're not being controlled, connected, or bound by this third dimensional world. Because you'll do a lot of things where you think you're doing good and you're not. And like I said, people like and Jim Baker's not the only one. He just got caught. I don't know. To be honest, I don't know why they really went after Jim. I mean, if you really could get all the paperwork, it probably was other reasons. It wasn't just because if they went after him, they could have went after all of those televangelists. Because they all do the same thing. They all take their money and buy houses and all kind of crazy shit. But they're telling you, oh, help us spread the gospel. But they're buying nice ass houses and all kind of crazy shit. So that's Neptune's deception. But if you understand astrology, it is what it is. And when you understand it, the person that put most of this stuff together is Thoth. But he calls himself the trickster. So that's what a matrix means. They put you somewhere, feed you a whole bunch of garbage, and you believe it. Or you wake up and you become smarter and you begin to use it too. Because they're using the matrix to rip all these people off. So it's people that see it and they say, yeah, I'm going to do the same thing. So when you see 12 degrees AC, this gentleman, you can tell this may be a person who deceives the community of people. Again, that's what 12 evangelists do. And again, 12 degrees would be Neptune energy or Pisces. And so as you can see, he has a lot of 25s. So we're going to read 25 again. And it's funny, because like I said, when you think of 25, you think of who? Jesus Christ. Christmas is on the 25th and stuff like that. So again, 25, wise, perceptive, spiritual. But again, it's still saying the law. The law. And you can't get past it. It's all over his chart. 25. So it's still confirming what I'm saying. And then Mars in Capricorn at 25 degrees. But again, Capricorn in the 12th house is again using the spiritual house and turning it into a business, like Jimmy Baker did or any of those other televangelists. Because it's not a spiritual journey. And Mars in Capricorn could be a very aggressive business person or a very aggressive business. And notice how his true north node in Pisces is what? 20 degrees or a judgment. And that's his second house, so he's going to be using inspiration to make money. Because your second house is your money house. Then third house, again, it's still communications, basically. It's not being healed here because of Chiron retrograde. But again, it's aggression. And remember, and it's at 3 degrees. See, when you see like the third house, that can be children. But the third house can also be humans that ain't up to par. Immature humans, or humans that just don't. They rather you tell them. You know what I'm saying? They don't want to study. They don't want to. They don't want to. They don't want to do it because they have that like a immature persona. And then you see the number 15, which is again is the devil card, Capricorn energy. So this person to the right is turning the first house into a form of deception over the people, represented by Aquarius. And he's using the deception of spirituality to make money, which is going to lead to some form of judgment. And then in the third house, he's taking like a aggressive approach, but he's able to deceive number 3s. And these are immature people, like either, people that don't want to study, people that are easily gullible, or even like children like ones. And then he's doing it again. Now in the fourth house, see, now you kind of see it. Watch this. Fourth house, Taurus rules the second house, but it's Pisces. See, theology, spirituality. So, and then Pisces rules the 12th house. It's Capricorn. So he's turning it into a business. And he's telling these people we're family in the fourth house. And then Taurus and or Sagittarius can always be like a religious leader. And I told you, like number 5, like you see number 5, that's the Hierophant card. That's the Pope or a priest or a reverend, and it could be a woman too. And then Saturn retrograde is karma. It is time delay, but it's also a no nonsense teacher or person. And then it's 25 again. So like I keep trying to tell you, 25 is the person who represents telling you rules, telling you what to do, telling you laws, telling you like, oh, this is what God says to do. And 25 is always going to have that connection to Jesus. And they said 25 is the law. So this one has no problem. Kind of like they say a Taurus is a bull. And he's got that Taurus energy in his house that's not just family, because he's also using it religiously and telling people you're my family. So however they're doing it, it's real. It may not be like Jimmy Baker did it. It may not even be televangelism, but it's something. Something. So then in the 5th house, that's his moon sign. And 27 is the number of the diplomat. But now he's a communicator. But again, why the 5th house? Because he may be, see, Gemini, like the lover card is number 6. It's Gemini energy. But it's doubt. Like when you see lover's card, you go, oh, it's the lover's card. But the lover's card means they doubt. Like they don't believe in it. They doubt it. And Gemini is Mercury energy. Mercury is Thoth. He's the trickster. And that's why you're in a matrix. It's all about tricks. And you say, oh, why are we and so many, why is there so many tricks and deception? Well, what I learned from it, you got to learn how to stand up. Because it's always going to be about death and it's always going to be a duality, and it's always going to be about death and resurrection. Now, that's what the book of Job was about. The book of Job was about a Pluto retrograde attack on Job. Take everything. Just don't kill him. You can kill everything. You could take everything that man owns, but just don't kill him. You could strike his body and make him sick, which again is like Pluto. He even wished he could die and go, he said, go to hell or go to shit, wherever he said. That's all Pluto stuff, underworld stuff. And death and resurrection is, again, Pluto stuff. So that's really what the book of Job was about. When you have your Pluto retrograde moment where God allows everything you believe or everything you have to be overturned and taken from you. But what it did for Job was it gave him a new perspective. First off, Job's problem was he was trying too much to be God. Now, he was noble, but he was trying too much to be God because Job was helping everybody. And he was a very rich man. So he was helping everybody. He thought that was the right thing to do. But what he didn't understand from God's perspective is God is saying, how are these people ever going to call out to me if you're helping them? Because that's what's going to happen. Now, if they had nobody, if they were ass out and had no one to call, they would start to call on God. And that's how their relationship with God would begin. Because now they're calling out. Now he can come in. Now he can help them. Now he can save them. Now he can help grow with them. But they didn't need God. They had Job. So even nowadays, if you could pick up a phone call or call God to help you out, or call Sam, and Sam's coming right over and going to help you out, you're going to call Sam. Now, you can lie all you want and say, oh, no, when I would call God, I would put faith in God because God... I've been on the planet too long. You can't spit that bullshit to me because I know for most people it's a bunch of garbage. Plus, I look at what goes on out here. It's a joke. People choose every day the physical over the spirit every time. But they all go love and light, or they go, oh, spirit said. But if they can get somebody in the physical to get what they need fast, they ain't trying to fast, they ain't trying to pray, they ain't trying to trust in God. Now, some of them may not be that way, but the majority of them are exactly like I said. So what I'm trying to tell you was, when Job went through what he went through, it woke him up to how effed up people are. He's like, I lost everything for these people. None of these people came to see me. They immediately assumed that God was mad at me because something terrible happened. So all these people just left me to die. But I was there for every last one of them. So now he's beginning to understand. And first he had to learn humility. God never told you to save the world. That's God. God's got it. It's not your job. And that's why people don't like what I'm saying, but I'm telling the truth. Where other people are going to keep on lying to you. Like Matthew chapter 6 says. Like people walking around talking about, oh, I give, but you only give when it's public. Messiah said, give in secret. Only God should know. Just like when people fast and pray. Messiah said, don't tell nobody when you fast. But these people tell everybody. Oh, we're going to fast. Come on down to the church. Everybody come on down. We're going to fast. We're going to let the whole world know. Because they self-righteousness. So when you stay in scripture, you get the real God. But if you don't stay in scripture, you're going to get some old fake-ass bullshit. And that's why you got people thinking it's okay to rip other people off. When you'll die in hell for that. Messiah makes that perfectly clear. You will die in hell for it. You'll burn in hell forever. No, you won't die in hell, but you'll burn in hell forever. Because you don't die in hell. You just get tortured and whatever else they want to do to you. And all this information is readily available on YouTube. But people think if they don't think about it, they don't have to worry about it. And that's the most stupidest thing I heard in the world. That's like somebody coming to kill you. A man recently got blown away just a few days ago. And he should have knew better. He was in an organization that is known for murder but yet he still was naive enough to believe he could go outside to a person and trust that person. When a person had just ran a truck into his car. To me, I would have knew that was a setup. Somebody rode their car up on my grass a while ago. And I was called downstairs. I went downstairs. I looked out the door and saw that fool sitting there. And I'm wondering, if you just rolled your car up on my property, why aren't you getting out your car and knocking on my door and apologizing? And he sat in the car like I was supposed to come to him. I said, fuck that dude, and went back upstairs. So you got to know when something don't look right. And that's how you can become a survivor. So again, that's the moon sign, Gemini. Multitasker and all that. But he's going to be talking. Remember, the moon represents the law, in case you don't know that. That's why I said when you look over here, you know, both of these charts you keep seeing like 22, I think. I think I saw 22 on his too. I think. Yeah, I see a couple. At least one. But, yeah. And then there's another one, 222. And she's got them too. So that's why when you see the moon in Libra, that's also dealing with the law. So, sixth house, again, family in the home. But it's also about service. So this may be a person who's using some type of home setting to project the family setting, but also to still do his teaching or however he's reaching out to these Aquarius, which is the 11th house. And when you look at his 11th house, what's there? But Sagittarius. And again, Sagittarius is the master teacher, or the person who wants freedom, or the person that is using technology. And if you notice, both of them have medium Coeli and Sagittarius. And they both have Neptune. So yeah, seeing stuff like that, that's how I'm saying, that's how you know they're twins. Now in his relationship sector, he's got Vesta, and that's interesting. But this is with Leo, and Leo can be very romantic and even sexual. And he's got Lilith retrograde at 0 degrees, but that's that Mars energy again. And sometimes Mars energy can mean sex. It can mean confrontation. It could also mean sex. It could also mean intensity. But in the 7th house, that's kind of like it. And wherever you see Mars, you have to be careful. I'm sorry, wherever you see Vesta, you have to be careful because Vesta will burn you out. If you don't know how to take breaks, you'll burn out. But he's going to be a highly romantic, highly sexual type person. And the mystery of Lilith retrograde is he may be reaching out for that type of sex and attention because he may have been hurt or harmed in some type of way, and he's dealing with his own repressions. So now his Pluto represents that 26 degrees is the voice of God. But that 26 degrees is Pluto. And Pluto rules hell. So again, you have to be careful because like Messiah said, your doctrine of what you believe can send you to hell. And that's right in the Bible too. But these are things that people don't talk about. They give you a fake gospel. And they make you think Jesus saved everybody. And very few people have to worry about going to hell because Jesus already took care of that. And that's the biggest lie. That's the biggest lie on the planet. So now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And his 8th house, which is the 8th house about the soul and all that stuff I talk about. His vertex is 8. His vertex is 8. So he's got some type of service going on, and he might even promote like what you call is healing, like alternative healing, because Virgo is healing too. See, his 8th house is a lot like a 12th house, because a lot of times you have 12th house with Virgo, and that's all about healthcare and healing and stuff like that. And Pluto is going to bring sexuality, great transformation. And if you notice her vertex with Virgo's at 15. Because it's almost looking like he's the one that convinces her to see things more business minded. Because even when I got to her 2nd house, I was like, it might be 2 people in this house. It might not just be her energy, it might be his. And that's why when you get to the part where it becomes a legal matter, that's her medium Coeli. You see 2 nines. And I'm assuming one of those 9s is her and one of those 9s is him. Because they've learned to use each other for their light. Which might not have been the wisest thing to do. They've isolated themselves away from what would be more common sense and the better way to do things. So now you're back to that Sagittarius energy. And now you have it. Libra in the 9th house. But like I told you, the 9th house is higher law. Bigger than the state. This could be federal or even higher. And if these people were doing types of business or whatever they're doing overseas or long distance, again, that could be like international shit or whoever. And you keep seeing 15 on his chart. That's why I think he's the one that motivated her to see things a little bit differently. And that's why I keep trying to tell you, you have to be careful. Because you could go to church and you could really be looking for Jesus. But you get somebody talking crazy. Oh, this is about prosperity. And the Lord has said, listen, girl, you need to listen. That's what they did to Bridget White, right? Evangelist Bridget White, right? When she came out, she was Holy Spirit filled. Everybody knew that. Her numbers used to be way out there. But that was definitely a woman of God. That young girl could preach. That was a woman of God. But then she got down with Eastern Star and all these fake-ass Christians. And then they taught her how to be a business person and all that. And now when she came, last time I seen her, she was at some church. And the first thing she did from the sanctuary is promote her book. Now you know you ain't supposed to be selling no stuff in no sanctuary. That's why Messiah came, was beating everybody up, beating them up and whipping them. So this was a girl, when she first came out, she said, I made a covenant with God, and I'm not going to have sex with nobody until I'm married, and put the ring and all that stuff. But then she got with them fake-ass phonies, and now she down with that old secret society stuff and all that Freemasonry bullshit and all that other stuff. So that's why I said you got to be really careful, because Messiah said your doctrine is going to send you to hell. This is all stuff he said in scripture. So it's not me, it's what he said. And that's why I say every day, either God's telling the truth or somebody's lying or somebody's lying. And you have to understand, all throughout the history, since Christianity came out, people have been being put to death for God. So I don't see how God could, in righteousness, foul the memory of those faithful Christians by this fake ass phony shit. Is he really that merciful? Because, I mean, that's a smack in the face for everybody that died for him. And that's why dudes like me, we not compromising. So, again, you're dealing with death, because this is the 8th house. You're dealing with death, possibly change. And remember that number, what we said about that number 23? Because this Pluto got to 23. It's 26 degrees and 23. And that 23 could be a lot, but we did say it could be in chaos as well. So now in the 9th house, which is Sagittarius energy, but Libra's there. Now that could be relationship or contracts, but it could also be the law, because your 9th house is higher law, higher courts. And you see 25 right there. And ironically, it's with his Mercury. Now remember, Mercury is the deceiver. That's Thoth. That's also the magician card, the Gemini energy. And that's his moon sign. So this is all deception. See, y'all don't understand, like y'all don't really understand like when you deal with Freemasonry. Like a lot of those people know they lying. but they sending you to hell. Cause like I said, you gotta understand like this. Like it's hard to like, explain it to y'all, but it's people that act like they Christians, but they really worship the devil. So they're like priests of the devil, so they playing you. And if you don't study and learn this shit, then like I said, you want, like I keep trying to say, that number 3, these are like weak-minded people. They don't want to study, they want somebody else to do it. And that's why Messiah was always saying, seek and ye shall find. He didn't say seek and let your pastor figure it out. Seek and let somebody else do it. Seek and let your husband show you. You're supposed to be looking. So that's why I'm trying to tell anybody that's listening, based on that, he could let a whole lot of people go down to hell. It's just really, is he going to do it or not? And you have to ask yourself, has he ever done it before? And the answer is yeah. Not the first time he's killed a whole lot of people and let them go into the, whatever you want to call it, hell of destruction. The Bible is full of him. The Bible is full of people he's ordered to be taken out. It's as I said, sometime when you're free, that's why we're talking about Sagittarius right now. But sometime when you're free, you just don't believe it. That's why I said Jim Baker didn't think nobody was going to send him there. He had all these people believing whatever he said. So that was the last thing he was going to think somebody was going to take him out. And I really would like to know the real reason why they locked him up. Because if they locked him up, they should have locked up everybody. Everybody else was doing the same thing he was. It's just that he made way more money than they did. And they was all making unbelievable amounts of money back then. And they still make it. But just not maybe not that big. I don't know. I don't get to see the books. So, all right. Here you go. So, I'm not going to talk about relationship in the 9th house and all that. I'm talking about what it's really saying. Law. 25 law. Higher courts. Higher courts that are going to send you to jail for a long time. Uranus comes out of nowhere. Now, remember, your part of fortune is at 4. But we already proved that 4 is that Aries energy. It's not necessarily a good thing. Now again, number 6 and 22. Now even 22 is the number of twin flames. It's 1111. 22 can also be the number of God's people. It's a master number, a master builder number. But 6 is the lover's card. But remember, it has to do with doubt. And then when you look at Venus, again, at 15, or Cancer. Like the Venus in this house to the left and the Venus to this house on the right is all about money. It's not just love. This is love based on money. And Messiah already told you, or the Bible already told you, love of money, what it would get you. It's like you just have to have a correct perspective. Then you see Jupiter again with Venus. So you know it's money here, but then it's 20, which is judgment, which is taking you back to Pluto. And that's why I say when people are making large amounts of money, they don't care about the numerology. What they care about is that green and white. I watch my family every day fight against what I say. Every day. If they see something, they'll dismiss it because they don't want to deal with it. And as long as they can go where they want to, when they want to, and ain't nobody sick or nothing like that, they not thinking about no judgment day. Could care less. That's why I do all the praying for them. I'm the cleanup man in this family. That's why I be so stressed out a lot of days. The freaking cleanup man on everything. And like I said, when my sister died, I said, wherever she got, I bet you somebody said to her, you better be glad your brother kept praying for you. So you go from 20 degrees, which is judgment, to 25 degrees, which is law. And again, all the stuff I'm saying, look it up right online. Numerology, tarot card numerology, affinity numerology. Because like I said, people hear my voice, so they blame me. I didn't make this. You better go talk to Thoth. I didn't make this. I just learned how to interpret it. People mad at me. I didn't make the numerology. That's why I love citing references. So don't get me wrong, it's love, but that's what happens. Because it's love, a lot of money, and even if you're deceiving the people, they're all happy, they're not complaining. So you're not worrying about it. But then God intervenes. And then God starts sending like these planets and all that. They start intervening to pull you down, to expose you, and pull you down, and put you to some form of discipline. And so then you go right back to, now his sign is Sun in Gemini. Sun in Scorpio. Because he has some type of Scorpio Gemini thing going on. But again, when you see the Sun in Gemini, this is taking something that's hidden or dark and exposing it. 1, 2, 3, bringing it to light. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10th house. And it keeps saying the 10th house is a karmic house. Tenth, come on, 10th house. I'm gonna put karmic. It says the astrologer, find your past life, the true karmic astrology. Capricorn, the 10th house. Node in Capricorn and in 10th house karmic pressure. Saturn in different house in karmic debt astrology. See, Saturn rules Capricorn. So what I'm saying, for the person that just loves money, it looks great. But for the person that understands numerology and house placements and all that, you're like, oh yeah, you'll get a lot of money, but if you don't know how to repent or handle it correctly, it's gonna be judgment. Cause like I said, when a televangelizer tells you send money so we can spread the gospel to the world. Oh, it's people out here that need food and all this shit, but they taking the money and buying houses and houses, and they got houses for the dog. The dog got his own house, and then they got houses that if they push a button, like they say, I like the sun. I like the sun when I'm in my kitchen. And this is I'm telling you all the true story. When I'm in my kitchen, I like the sun. So what they do is the sun rises in the east, so in the morning they in the kitchen. But then the sun go across the house to the west, so they push a button and that house lifts up and turns around, so they still in the sun. This shit is real. Bowling alleys in the house. So how is that helping the gospel? How is that helping all these people out here that are starving and shit throughout the world that would love to get some of that ministry money? Oh, I would love to serve Jesus Christ if you just brought me a meal. And they don't give a fuck. They don't give a damn about them people. So they got to pay for that. And Messiah told them, you're going to pay for that. So here you go. Now 10th house, which is karmic. And number 6, again, is the Lover's card, but also doubt, which could be a form of deception. 27 degrees is the Diplomat. But Sun in Scorpio is bringing things out that are hidden. And then let's do Neptune in Scorpio. All right, this is my astrology book.com. I just want to see what he says. I used to like this website, but I've grown a lot. And I already saw a website I want to go to, but I'll read this first. So Neptune in Scorpio will open up your psychic abilities, but also causes escapism, drugs, alcohol, sex, meditation. So when you go through Scorpio, you're either going to be transformed or degenerated. And they said many souls that were incarnating when Neptune was in Scorpio were paying off karmic debts, just like I told you. This is the dead house. And these people may have been born to parents that were abusing drugs. So now the exploration of both the outer world and the inner world began with the space program, and also the importation of Eastern philosophy, techniques, and hallucinatory drugs. Many psychics and empaths or sensitive people came in with Neptune and Scorpio. So if it's an affliction, then that means you misused psychic energy in past lives, and now you have to be purified in this one. And he says you have to be careful, because if you open up psychic centers without the correct understanding, it could lead to obsession. And they say this type of person is interested in esoteric religion, the mystical, and occult. But they can be very sexual and very physical or earthy people, as far as lustful and stuff. But they see it as spiritual. And that's what I was saying about her chart to the left. And then they're saying it about this chart. Neptune and Scorpio. But it's something else I saw. This is trustedpsychicmediums.com. So when Neptune is in Scorpio, it can be profound upheaval and dangers, like the height of the nuclear age and mutually assured destruction. So this person seeks change and escape with a burning passion. But a lot of people seek escape through drugs, alcohol, mind-altering experiences. Because a lot of these televangelists, they be like high on drugs and shit. That's another reason why they be talking all crazy. But like when you understand that's what they do in telemarketing or like Wall Street, them people be high on cocaine and they be having so much energy because they know that their energy motivates the people. Like anybody that's really good in sales and shit, they know that. Like they'll increase their volume, they'll talk a certain way. It's like it kind of like puts a spell on people. And that's why they be like, they're gonna get your money out, and move now. It's a move of the Holy Spirit. Move now. And people be falling for that stuff. And they say people with Neptune and Scorpio may be psychic, preternatural intelligence. Extremely intelligent people. And they may feel above the outside world. And again, that's the type of people that will exploit the world. All right. So, and 27 degrees means the diplomat. And notice how his Sagittarius has also got that 25. It's not a degree, but it's still 25, 0 degrees, 25 minutes. But I keep telling you, 25 is law. And notice how that 25 keep popping up. See, that's why I said, I got to explain the chart the way I see it. But that doesn't mean that these are televangelists or nothing like that. But what I'm saying is like two individuals that really get clung into them making that money and stuff like that. And unfortunately, it could lead to bigger problems. And again, Sagittarius in the 11th house is somebody like a master teacher that knows how to teach or manipulate the friends and so the community, because that's the Aquarius. And that when they're twins, almost that's how the charts are saying. Like we're both twins, but we're very good with moving people the way we want them to move. And I think the error is that neither one of them is going to tell the other one, you know, you need somebody to tell you when to shut that button off, or think a little bit more. And neither one of them are going to do that, which is going to lead to the higher law. So, not too much else I could see that. But pretty much they do look like the twins. They got similar placements. And, anything with Juno, anything with a 7th house, even your moon sign, your sun sign, it all depends. But we went over pretty much in. And the charts are not exactly identical, but they are basically both saying the same thing. That both these are two intelligent people, gifted people, but they're going to have a control over people, and they may miss why you have such gifts. The universe will give you such gifts to help build people up, and there's nothing wrong with making something in return, but you got to have a soundness of mind. The moment it becomes greed and manipulation, and also you don't realize you're breaking, like what Jim Baker did, you're breaking higher laws. So now it's not going to be a state crime. They're not going to tell you, okay, listen, Mr. Baker, we're going to put you in jail for 6 years, but you'll be out in 2 or something like that. And this is a higher court that's saying you're going away. If we, whatever, if we say 15, you will do 14 years and 6 months. I don't know how much time Jim Baker did, but he did. He went away for a nice amount of time. Because, I was out preaching in the 1980s, and Jim Baker was he was the man. And you got to understand, back then they had all of them. They had Falwell, Billy Graham, Jimmy Swaggart, just to name a few. Jim Baker, Paul and Jan Crouch were back there then. And a lot of people that were associated with them back then were back there then. But for some reason, they went after Jim for some reason and put him in jail. But if they put you in jail, you must have did something for them to lock you up. So that's what I'm seeing on here. Now, as far as the love stuff, we covered that before. But yeah, the love seems to be there with Venus and Jupiter and all that. But my point is, you can get so caught up that you get punch drunk. You get punch drunk. You know what I'm saying? Because you're so much in love. And if you do get all this money coming in, that you know what I'm saying? Who doesn't want to use the money to go to the Caribbean? You might want to buy your own island or some shit. And look at the jet guy. Copeland. That's all he does is buy jets, buy jets. Oh, the people want me to have jets. The people want me to have jets. And then he's influencing people like Jesse, Jesse, that other dude. I put jet. I typed in jet, J-E-T, and then I typed in Jesse. Let's see if he come up. There you go. Jesse Duplantis. So he hanging out with Copeland, and now he want a jet. He want to keep the buy the jet. And then Creflo Dollar, he hang out with Copeland. Like all them people hang out with Copeland to learn how to get that cash. And then a lot of people hang out with Benny Hinn. That's another one. So it is what it is. So that's what you see on these charts, these two charts. And there's nowhere else I can go with it. So that will be concluding this analysis. And again, if you have you want any analysis, but I do more than natal charts. Anything paranormal, predictive, supernatural, I do all that stuff. I do cards. We do phone consultations. Make sure you have the most recent services offered and price list. Also, check out Archangel Revelations and Prophecies 444 for any videos that are telling you any offers that are out there. And you can always ask questions down in the description box as well. The email is there. All right, so I guess that's as far as I can go with this. God bless.